Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayanti Nashtapraishu Vadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhoti Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, a description of the island of Jambudvipa, text number 9 onwards. Translation. Shukdev Goswami continued, the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are inconceivable. He has appeared in the form of Narayan in the land of Bharatvarsha at the place known as Badrikashram to favor his devotees by teaching them religion, knowledge, renunciation, spiritual power, sense control, and freedom from false ego. He is advanced in the opulence of spiritual assets, and he engages in executing austerity until the end of this millennium. This is a process of self-realization. People in India may visit the temple of Narayan at Badrikashram just to learn how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his incarnation as Narayan, engages in austerities to teach the people of the world how to achieve self-realization. It is impossible to realize oneself simply by absorbing oneself in speculation and material activities. One must be very serious about self-realization and the practice of austerity. Unfortunately, the people of this age of Kali do not even know the meaning of austerity. Under these circumstances, the Lord has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bestow upon the fallen souls the easiest method of self-realization, technically called Cheto Darpana Marjana, cleansing the dirt from the core of one's heart. This method is extremely simple. Anyone can chant the glorious Krishna Sankirtan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In this age, there are different forms of so-called advanced scientific knowledge, such as anthropology, Marxism, Freudianism, nationalism, industrialism. But if we work very hard under their guidance, instead of adopting the process practiced by Narayan, we shall just waste our valuable human form of life. Thus, we shall certainly be cheated and misled. So in this millennium, Narayan Rishi, Krishna appeared as Narayan, and he's situated at Badrikashram and is performing austerities to show us how to go about self-realization, how to achieve self-realization. Without austerity, nothing is possible. Nothing. In fact, when we went to Badrikashram, yes, it's high up there, but what austerity! We went by a wonderful bus and had wonderful prasadam arranged by Ashok Prabhuji, and nice place to stay, and just went to take darshan of Narayan. See, this Kali Yuga, we cannot even perform austerities properly. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew our situation. He said, okay, these guys cannot do anything. So he just gave this chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Of course, it's mentioned in the scriptures. He did not make anything up. But we are so lazy, we won't even study the scriptures. So he just synthesized everything and gave us, okay, just chant Hare Krishna. This is good enough austerity for you. Even that we don't do properly. That's a purpose. Unfortunately, the people of this age of Kali do not even know the meaning of austerity. Forget about performing austerity. Text 10. In his own book, known as Narad Panjaratra, Bhagwan Narad. Now, Shukdev Goswami is calling Narad Muni as Bhagwan Narad. Bhagavan Narad has very vividly described how to work to achieve the ultimate goal of life, devotion, through knowledge and through execution of the mystic yoga system. He has also described the glories of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The great sage Narad instructed the tenets of this transcendental literature to Savarni Manu in order to teach those inhabitants of Bharatvarsha who strictly follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma how to achieve the devotional service of the Lord. Thus Narad Muni, along with the other inhabitants of Bharatvarsha, always engage in the service of Naranarayan, and he chants as follows. So in his own book known as Narad Pancharatra, so Narad Muni has given the process of deity worship in this Narad Pancharatra. And wonderfully explained he has given. In fact, when we do Govardhan Parikrama, so 1 year, I remember, we took the group to a place called Narad Kund. It's not far from Kusum Sarovar. So we went to Narad Kund, and it's a very simple, quiet place, nice ashram. And it is said that is a place where Narad Muni wrote down Narad Pancharatra. And also, it is also said that is a place, when we go to 7th canto, we'll see when Hiranyakashipu goes out to do his tapasya. And then Narad Muni asked his wife Kayadhu to come with him. And while Narad Muni was taking his wife, demigods headed by Indra attacked. They wanted to kill the womb in the embryo in the womb of Kayadhu, because they found out there's a baby in the womb, and they thought it's son of Hiranyakashipu and it's going to be very powerful demon. And Narad Muni stopped all of them. Narad Muni told them, there's a wonderful way he said, you cannot kill this son of the womb, the baby in the womb of Kayadhu. He did not say you should not kill, or should not try to kill. He said you cannot kill, because it's a Mahabhagavat who is sitting in the womb of Kayadhu, and that's why I'm taking her to my ashram. And it is mentioned someplace that this is the place where Narad Muni brought Kayadhu while she was pregnant, and Hiranyakashipu was out to do his tapasya. So he brought her to this place in Vrindavan, next to Govardhan Parikrama. And that is where he taught Srimad Bhagavatam to Kayadhu while she was pregnant. And Prahlad Maharaj heard Bhagavatam when he was in the womb of his mother, and he remembered everything. And that's how, of course, he was already a devotee, but he became very staunch devotee by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Narad Muni. Mother Kayadhu would sometimes pay attention, sometimes she would go off to sleep while Narad Muni was speaking, but Prahlad Maharaj was always listening. So listening to Narad Muni, listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, and the place of Govardhan, definitely that was going to have powerful effect on Prahlad Maharaj. So anyway, once we get to there, we'll see. But it just Narad Muni's and Narad Pancharatra that story came, so I thought I'd tell you. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has clearly declared, Bharat Bhumi te hailaj manusha janma ya, janma sarthak kari kar paravtar. The real success of fulfillment of the mission of human life can be achieved in India, Bharatvarsha, because in Bharatvarsha, the purpose of life and the method for achieving success are evident. People should take advantage of the opportunity afforded by Bharatvarsha. And this is especially so for those who are following the principles of Varnashram Dharma. If we do not take to the principles of Varnashram Dharma by accepting the four social orders, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and the four orders of spiritual life, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, there can be no question of success in life. Unfortunately, because of the influence of Kali Yuga, everything is now being lost. The inhabitants of Bharatvarsha are gradually becoming degraded, malicious, and yavans. How then will they teach others? Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement has been started not only for the inhabitants of Bharatvarsha, but for the people of the world, as announced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is still time, and if the inhabitants of Bharatvarsha take this movement of Krishna consciousness seriously, the entire world will be saved from gliding down to hellish condition. The Krishna consciousness movement follows the process of Pancharatrik Vidhi and that of Bhagavat Vidhi simultaneously, so that people can take advantage of the movement and make their lives successful. So Pancharatrik Vidhi means the way to do deity worship properly, following all the rules and regulations. There's so many rules to do deity worship. And Bhagavat Vidhi is this Bhagavat Marg of performing devotional service, chanting, hearing. This all comes under Bhagavat Vidhi. Prabhupada said at one place that the train of bhakti runs on these two tracks of Pancharatrik Vidhi and Bhagavat Vidhi. But obviously, Bhagavat Vidhi is much more important. But Pancharatrik Vidhi is for the devotees serving in the temple, pujaris. So Pancharatrik Vidhi, and they follow both. But for Grihasthas, congregation, we do some Pancharatrik Vidhi at home to do the deity worship, but definitely we cannot do the same way as is done in the temples. So for us, Bhagavat Vidhi is much, much, much more important. And that is more potent anyway. But not to say the Pancharatrik Vidhi is wrong, it's completely bona fide. And the deities are supposed to be worshipped properly according to the scriptures. But Prabhupada, again, he's stressing more on the preaching process. So preaching comes under Bhagavat Vidhi. So that's what he's saying. Everybody in India, everybody in Bharatvarsha should take up this Krishna consciousness seriously and then preach, and the entire world will be saved from gliding down to a hellish condition. And ultimately, it is to preach to everybody all over the world. It's not only for people of Bharatvarsha, Prabhupada is saying it's not only for the inhabitants of Bharatvarsha, but for the people of the world. Everybody belongs to Krishna. And Krishna will be very, very pleased if we preach all over the world. Take this message to every town and village, wherever we can. Text 11. So Narad Muni is praying like this. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Nar Narayan, the best of all saintly persons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the most self-controlled and self-realized. He is free from false prestige, and he is the asset of persons who have no material possessions. He is a spiritual master of all Paramhamsas, who are the most exalted human beings, and he is a master of the self-realized. Let me offer my repeated obeisances at his lotus feet. So he is the most self-controlled and self-realized. So this is what happens when somebody is self-realized. Of course, the Lord is always self-realized, but he is showing to the world by doing austerities, one can become self-realized. And then one is more controlled. He is self-controlled. He has control over all his senses. He is a master of the self-reliance. Let me offer my respectful, repeated obeisances at his lotus feet. So he further says, Gayati chedam, kartasya sargadishu yona badhyate, ahanyate deha gato api dahika, drishturna dragyasya gunair vidushyate, tasmai namo asakta vivikta sakshine. Narad, the most powerful saintly sage, who also worships Narayan by chanting the following mantra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a master of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this visible cosmic manifestation. Yet he is completely free from false prestige. According to the foolish, he appears to have accepted a material body like ours. He is unaffected by bodily tribulations like hunger, thirst, and fatigue. Although he is a witness who sees everything, his senses are unpolluted by the objects he sees. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that unattached, pure witness of the world, the Supreme Soul, the Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is described as Satchidananda Vigraha, the body of eternity, transcendental bliss, and full knowledge. Now, in this verse, he is more fully described. Krishna is the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation, yet he is unattached to it. If we were to construct a very tall skyscraper, we would be very attached to it. But Krishna is so renounced that although he has created everything, he is not attached to anything. Navadyate. Furthermore, although Krishna has his transcendental form, Satchidananda Vigraha, he is not disturbed by the bodily necessities of life, which are called dahik. For example, he is never hungry, thirsty, or fatigued. Na hanyate deha gato api dahika. Then again, since everything is Krishna's property, he sees everything. It is present everywhere. But because his body is transcendental, he is above vision, the objects of vision and the process of vision. When we see something beautiful, we are attracted. The sight of a beautiful woman immediately attracts a man, and the sight of a man naturally attracts a woman. Krishna, however, is transcendental to all these faults. Although he is a seer of everything, he is not afflicted with faulty vision. Therefore, although he is a witness and the seer, he is aloof from all affections to the activities he sees. He is always unattached and separate. He is only a witness. So he is completely unattached, unaffected by bodily tribulations like hunger, thirst, and fatigue. And his senses are completely transcendental. And that is the Supreme Lord. Although we see Krishna eating, Krishna is stealing butter from Gopi's house. And he's, as Govardhan, he ate so much. He ate the whole mountain of prasadam. But he's never hungry. He eats only to please his devotees. He accepts their devotional, loving sentiments when he eats. He's never hungry. We get hungry because we have material body. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha can never get hungry. It's difficult to understand because we have no understanding or have never seen, no experience of this Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, what it could be like. But this is where our limitation shows up of our understanding. But we have to take it from whatever the scriptures say. So this is great, and he's never attached, and he's not at all attached to anything that he has created. The entire cosmic manifestation is created just by his will, but he's not attached to this material creation. He's completely aloof from all this. We create a little bitty place, little house, and we get attached to it. But Krishna never gets attached. And that's why he can just leave everything at just like that. Because he's full of renunciation. Only reason he comes here is to paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrita. For us, our property, or if somebody is a billionaire, he has some properties and he is very attached to it. And then if we go to heavenly planets, Indra is attached to his throne. And so many kings and demigods, they are attached to their position, their throne, their wives, or their apsaras, or this or that. But Krishna is not at all attached to any of this. His only attachment is for devotees, that's all. Idam hi yogeshwar yoga napunam hiranya garbha bhagavan jagad yat yadanta kale tvai nirgune mano bhaktya dadhito chit dushkale varaha. O my Lord, master of all mystic yoga, this is the explanation of the yogic process spoken of by Lord Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, who is self-realized. At the time of death, all yogis give up the material body with full detachment, simply by placing their minds at your lotus feet. That is the perfection of yoga. Srila Madhvacharya says, for one who very seriously practices devotion service during his lifetime in order to understand the constitutional position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, liberation from this material world is guaranteed, even if he has previously been addicted to sinful habits. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, api chetsu duracharo. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. The only purpose of life is to be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and his form, pastimes, activities, and qualities. If one is able to think of Krishna in this way, 24 hours a day, he is already a liberated person. Whereas materialists are absorbed in material thoughts and activities, devotees, on the contrary, are always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and Krishna's activities. Therefore, they are already on the platform of liberation. One has to think of Krishna with full absorption at the time of death. Then he will certainly return home back to Godhead without a doubt. So the yogis, what do? They give a material body with full detachment simply by placing their minds at your lotus feet, I mean at the lotus feet of Narayan. And Narayan, they are the master of all the yogic perfections. So even the yogis, they cannot attain the topmost destination based on their own yogic perfections or practices. Only when they place their minds at the lotus feet of Narayan or at the lotus feet of Krishna, they can achieve something. Otherwise, it's not even possible for them. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. Now, for the devotees also, devotees are 24 hours a day, they are engaged in thinking of Krishna. They're engaging their senses in the service of Krishna. And then they become already liberated. Therefore, they are already on the platform of liberation. One has to think of Krishna with full absorption at the time of death. So that is the only way one can go back to Godhead. Text 14. Materialists are generally very attached to the present bodily comforts and the bodily comforts they expect in the future. Therefore, they are always absorbed in thoughts of their wives, children, and wealth, and are afraid of giving up their bodies, which are full of stool and urine. If a person engaged in Krishna consciousness, however, is also afraid of giving up his body, what is the use of having labored to study the Shastras? It was simply a waste of time. At the time of death, the materialist thinks of his wife and children. He is absorbed in thinking of how they will live and who will take care of them after he leaves. Consequently, he is never prepared to give up his body. Rather, he wants to continue to live in his body to serve his society, family, friends, and so on. Therefore, by practicing the mystic yoga system, one must become detached from bodily relationships. If despite practicing bhakti yoga and studying all the Vedic literature, one is afraid of giving up his bad body, which is cause of all his sufferings, what is the use of his attempts to advance in spiritual life? The secret of success in practicing yoga is to become free from bodily attachments. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Deha smriti nahi yara sansara bandhan taha. One whose practice has freed him from the anxieties of bodily needs is no longer in conditional life. Such a person is free from conditional bondage. A person in Krishna consciousness must fully discharge his devotional duties without material attachment. Then his liberation is guaranteed. So more we practice Krishna consciousness, more we get attached to Krishna, more we get detached from the material world, detached from bodily relationships. It will automatically happen. But if it is not happening, Prabhupada saying, what is the use of his attempts to advance in spiritual life? Means of course it's always helpful to advance, and slowly this detachment will come. And that is when we are ready to go back to the spiritual world, when we are completely attached to Krishna, that we are not even afraid of giving up this body. It's difficult. It's not easy. We might say, oh, I'm ready to give up this body, but no, it's not that easy. Because we are afraid of giving up the body, afraid of giving up the byproducts of this body, attachments, the relationships, the property, or this or that. It's not that easy. But anyway, so more we engage in the service of Krishna, more we become attached to Krishna, Krishna's name, Krishna's service, Krishna's rupa, more we'll get detached from the material attachments. And that's what Prabhupada says, then his liberation is guaranteed. Okay, so we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, the afraid you mentioned about fear of death. So when there is birth, death is certain. Knowing the fact also, why Prabhuji there is so much of clinging or attachment to live forever, how this thing even came up, or what is the root cause? And I know that avidya is the root cause of everything. Now that we are hearing every day, we are getting the knowledge, and even I don't know how to explain, but knowing the fact also that acceptance is not coming and the fear is still there. So how to develop that acceptance? I mean,
See, theoretically, at least we know we are not this body. and we have to leave. Anybody who has taken birth is sure to die. But it hasn't come into practice yet, and realization will come much later. And that realization is also partial, that I'm not this body. The real realization is I'm part and parcel of Krishna, and my only existence is to serve Krishna. Then we get really away from this bodily concept of life. That is a perfection. So for that, it takes time, because we've been connected, we've been attached to our bodies since times immemorial. Every different body that we have taken, we get attached to it. And the same mind, intelligence, false ego goes, the subtle body goes with the soul. So those attachments, those sanskaras of attachments, they're very much there. If somebody, even if we think we have made plenty of progress in spiritual life, doing so much of devotion service, if somebody says something nasty to us or behind our back, we'll get disturbed.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Did he say anything to the soul? No. He said something to the body, about the body. I'm not this body. We should not get disturbed. We do.
Right.
And it hurts. Because we are still in the bodily conception of life.
Yes, very, very true, Prabhuji. So the way you mentioned that we are not putting that into practice. So how to understand about this when we talk about every day doing our services, chanting and all, doing everything as well, we have to keep on checking our thoughts, keep on checking our actions.
Yep. Because it's not that automatically we'll become Krishna conscious and will be devoid of body conscious. We have to keep on reminding ourselves, keep on checking, like you said, check on thoughts and check our actions. It's not a passive process, it's an active process.
Yes,
check our words when we speak to others, what I'm saying.
It's all about like to aware in every moment, to be more conscious in every situation, reminding to ourselves. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And still there will be letdowns, but that's okay. We are learning.
Yes, initially, Prabhuji, that is because the title and upadhi, the false upadhi which we are holding since time immemorial, that I'm this, I'm that, I'm actually we are nothing. But in that, because that is why probably if somebody is saying something or if something happening, I mean, which is not pleasant, we feel very bad or we react. But as you mentioned, that once we the listen of each and every situation, then more we aware of our own state, then this thing starts bothering very less slowly. But one
that too, on top of it, see, a devotee who's surrendered to Krishna, he always thinks everything is orchestrated by Krishna only. So same. If somebody talks bad about me, fine, I get angry. That is first reaction. Then, okay, little higher is I restrain myself. I don't get angry. Okay, I'm not this body, so on and so forth. Then even higher than that, Krishna is doing all this for me. And Krishna is doing it. He cannot do anything to hurt me. He's always going to be for my betterment, whatever he's doing. See, consciousness, when it evolves, then it evolves further. Devotional service, full surrender to Krishna. This is what full surrender is.
Yes, Prabhuji, right. Actually, yes, having this mortal body, we seek for an permanent happiness or permanent life. I mean, correct. This is something like in just to hear, it looks very easy, but when it comes to the practical aspect, small incident reminds that where is my level, where I'm standing. That makes me realize that actually I'm not improving. So yeah, this is very helpful,
It
Prabhuji.
takes
Thank you so much.
time.
Yeah,
It takes
yeah,
long time, and
yes,
how
Prabhuji.
much effort we are putting in our service.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so
Thank
I
you
guess
so
we
much,
can stop.
Prabhuji.
You're welcome. Yes, we can stop there. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank